All right, so today we're diving into a really interesting use for smart contracts. And no, it's not about the next big DeFi protocol or some new NFT project. It's about hacking something way more personal, your own motivation. Let's get into how crypto could actually become a tool for self-discipline.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You set a big goal. This is the year I write that book, or I'm finally going to put that money aside. You start out super motivated, everything's great, and then life happens. It really does feel like this constant battle between the person you want to become and the person you are right now.
So the question is, how do you win that battle? What if you could actually use technology to build a bridge between your best intentions and, your actual actions? That's the core idea we're going to unpack today.
See, the problem really boils down to this conflict of interest. Your future self wants those big long-term wins, the finished novel, that healthy savings account. But your present self, well, your present self is all about right now. It wants to watch one more episode, it wants to make that impulse buy, and let's be honest, present self almost always wins the argument.
Now, this isn't some new age problem. The financial world has been dealing with this for a long time, and they even have a name for the solution. It's called a commitment device. Let's break down what that actually is. So think of it as a pre-commitment. You're basically making a decision today that forces your future self to stay on the right path. You're boxing yourself in on purpose. It's kind of like putting all your temptations in a penalty box so you can focus on the goal. The classic example is a certificate of deposit, a CD from a bank. You lock your money away and you pay a penalty if you pull it out early. But here's the catch. A bank has people. You can call them, you can plead your case, maybe they'll bend the rules. A smart contract? Totally different. The rules are baked into a mutable code. Once it's launched, it cannot be changed. Not by you, not by anyone. And that right there brings us to the first and simplest level of this whole idea. Just using a smart contract as a perfect, unbreakable time lock for your own goals. This is what makes it so incredibly powerful. The code itself is the commitment. Once you set it, that's it. It's written in stone on the blockchain. There's no customer service line to call, no manager to persuade. The code is the law, and your commitment becomes absolute. So let's see how this would work. Imagine you want to save $5,000. You send that money to a smart contract with one dead simple rule. These funds cannot be touched for 5 years. That's it. No matter what happens, no matter how tempted your present self gets, there is literally no way to sabotage that long-term goal. Okay, but a simple time lock is really just level 1. We can build on this idea to make something way more powerful by adding a new layer, proof of discipline. And this is where it gets really, really cool. What if the contract didn't just force you to wait? What if it could actually force you to do the thing you said you were going to do? So here's how that process would work. Let's go back to our goal of writing a book. You'd lock your funds into a contract, and you'd set a deadline. The only way you get that money back is by providing on-chain proof, basically verifiable digital proof on the blockchain, that you actually finished the manuscript. Maybe it's a special token you get from a group of peer reviewers who confirm you did the work. Okay, but this is the most important part of the entire psychological hack. If there's no real consequence for failing, the whole system just falls apart. So what happens if you miss the deadline? This is the absolute genius of the penalty function. If you fail, the smart contract automatically kicks in. It might send, say, half your money back to you, but it sends the other half to a cause you absolutely can't stand, something you passionately disagree with. I mean, think about that for a second. You are literally putting a price tag on your own integrity. The cost of failing isn't just losing money, it's actively donating to something you oppose. The motivation to avoid that outcome becomes unbelievably strong. Now, here's the thing. The code for a smart contract like this, that's actually the easy part. The real challenge, the big hurdle we need to get over, is verification. How can a blockchain, which lives on objective ones and zeros, possibly verify something as subjective as completing a novel? How does it know you didn't just upload 1,000 pages of gibberish just to get your money back? Well, this is where other crypto tools start to come into play. You could use decentralized oracles, which are like trusted messengers that bring real-world information onto the blockchain. Or you could have a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, made up of other writers. They could act as a jury, staking their own money and reputation on honestly reviewing your work to provide that digital proof. You're basically creating a market for accountability. So when you zoom out and look at the big picture, what does all this really mean? Well, it points to a totally new way of thinking about accountability itself. There's this quote that just perfectly captures the whole concept.
It's a digital, self-imposed prison, for sure. But it's a prison that you built with your own rules for the sole purpose of making yourself better. And that's really the big takeaway here. This shows us that all these tools we're building in decentralized finance, they can be used for so much more than just speculation and trading. They can actually be fundamental building blocks for creating a more disciplined, more accountable, and ultimately a more successful version of ourselves.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. If this tool existed today, what's the one promise you've made to yourself that you would be willing to lock into code? What goal is so important to you that you'd be willing to bet on your own integrity to finally make it happen?